and welcome to Cruising with Science. I'm your host for today, Mr. Cruz, and this is the show that uses discovery and exploration to show you just how magnificent our world can be. For today's show, I had a young lady write in, and she told me that she went on a walk with her grandfather. It was a colder day in December, and they could tell that there was a change in the air. After walking for about 15 minutes, her grandfather began to complain that being outside was affecting his body. He was having trouble moving, and the longer they stayed outdoors, the worse her grandfather felt. So the young lady wrote in and wanted to know if it was actually possible for the outside air to cause pain, or was her grandfather making this up because he didn't want to walk with her anymore? So I'm going to bring the young lady on right now and show her just how powerful that air is in our atmosphere. Please welcome to the show, Amber Pelletier. Hey Amber, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So I heard you were on a walk the other day with your grandfather, and he was complaining that his body was aching from the outside air temperature, and you would like to know if he was making this up or if it's actually possible for that air to cause pain in somebody's body.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, so I've got a few cool demonstrations I'd like to do with you today, and when we're done, you can decide for yourself if your grandfather was making this up or he was just trying to get away from you, okay? So the very first thing that I'd like to show you...
Wait, Mr. Cruz, aren't you forgetting something?
She's right. Let's not forget those safety goggles, because this one could pop our eyes out. Okay, Amber, so what I've got first for you to show you the power of that air is right here in this little mat. So I've got a mat here. I'm going to bring up this stool. And this is going to start by showing us just how powerful that air is in the atmosphere. So I'm going to place this mat right here. And all I'd like you to do is take this hook and you're going to lift that straight up. Easy enough, right?
Yes.
All right, go ahead and lift that up. Okay. Okay, why don't you try that? Let me try that. Oh, what's happening here? Okay, Amber, give it another shot. We'll go try it together. Okay, Amber. All right. All right, so we see how powerful that mat actually is. And let me just set this down right here so we can kind of explain what's happening. We'll get our stool out of the way. So, Amber, what you can't see right now is that air in the atmosphere. And we have something called atmospheric pressure. And atmospheric pressure is just the measure of the weight of our air, okay? So in every one of these little square inches, there's 14 7/10 pounds of pressure coming down. So that's about 15 pounds of pressure on this mat for each little square. Okay. All right, so that's a 10 by 10 mat. That gives us an area of 100 square inches. So that means coming down on this mat is almost 1,500 pounds of pressure. And that's a whole lot of power right there. So there was really no way that just one of us could pull that mat up because that atmospheric pressure is just so powerful. Okay, so now I'm going to show you what else this air can do. Okay, Amber, let's move on to our next demonstration that I have to show you how powerful this air is. And this is one of my favorite demonstrations because it's so easy to do. All you need is a cup of water. So I'm going to fill this water up. That cup up right there. Don't want to go too high on it because I don't want to get you drenched. And I'm going to take an index card. And it just has to be long enough to go around the mouth of the cup. I'm going to have you stand over here. I'm going to tip this over. And watch what happens when I remove my hand. Now, normally you would think water would get all over our guest Amber, but you can see that air pressure that's coming up is actually holding that in place. Stay there. Let me get on over here. And we did not get her all wet. So what's happening there is we have that index card, and it's a 5 by 5 index card. So that is 25 square inches. And then what we have is that air pressure coming at us at about 15 pounds per square inch, and that's holding that card right on up. So Amber, what I'd like to do now is I'm going to have you attempt to do this over top of me. So you could practice it on me and then try it again later on at home, all right? Okay. So go ahead and fill your cup up. Please do not get me all wet. All right, so you're going to tip it over here and then kind of put it over top of my head. And I'm going to pray she does this right. Oh, boy. Let's see. Okay, getting a little nervous here. I don't know if you should do this, Amber. Okay. So Amber was not successful at putting the water and keeping it in the cup. I'm going to give her one more shot at it. Because science is about practice, and we're going to practice this again. So go ahead and put it, just like you put your hand there, tip it over. And now remove this bottom hand. And see how that stays in place? And again, that's that air pressure holding that card right on up. Pretty amazing, Amber. Very good. So let's move this on over here. Then, what I'd like to do is show you another little trick. So we've got this here. Got my water. Let's fill that up. We're going to go all the way with this one. We're going to get our do not remove card. Put this one right on here. Come on over to the center there, Amber. And watch what happens this time, people. Voila. So what I have going on right now is a little science trick. Amber, if you look straight on up, look straight up over your head, what do you see inside that jar? You see anything in there?
No.
There's actually a screen inside this jar, and if I break the seal here, you can see the water come pouring out. So what actually kept that water from falling out is something we call surface tension. So that surface tension created like a membrane right here on the screen, and that all those molecules came together in something we call cohesion, and it would not allow that water to escape, all right? So Amber, I'm going to have you actually attempt to do this on me next, all right? So we'll get our last card, and let's get this one right. So now you're going to practice like you're at home. You're going to do this on your mom later. You're not going to get me wet this time. Okay. Nice and easy. And remember, you should be able to remove that card. And if you did it right, you're okay. Yep, remove the card. And go ahead and put that over my head. And look what happens, and I can see right now all those little water molecules coming together in a force we call cohesion. Very good, Amber. And you're going to move it over there. Oh, boy. That's all right. Fantastic. All right, Amber, so I want to thank you for not getting me too wet on that last one. And what I'm going to do now is something that you can do to amaze all your family and friends. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you this potato right here. And I'm going to take my own potato, give you a straw, and I've got a little trick I'd like to show you. I'm going to have you hold your potato up like this. And I would like you to try to jam that straw right through one end of the potato to the other. And be careful, because if you do this wrong, you could put it right through your wrist. All right, go ahead. Okay. You see it bends a little bit. Let me show you the trick to making this happen. All right? And then you're going to get an opportunity to do this with me as well. So what Amber was doing, she was actually trying to get the straw through the potato. But what's happening is there's, even though you can't see it, what's inside the straw? There's air inside this straw, all right? So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to compress the air by holding the straw, and I'm going to try to put it right through the potato, okay? Now this makes me a little nervous, because if I don't do this right, as I said, it could go right through my wrist. All right, so here we go. You want to count down for me? You're going to go 3, 2, 1, go. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to jam the straw right through the potato. All right?
3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah, look at that. So you get your straw right through the potato. Not that hard to do once you compress the air. And again, we're showing you the power of that air pressure as it goes right through that potato. Now I'm going to give you a shot at doing this. And I'm going to put a glove on because I don't trust Amber after what she did with that water a second ago. I do not want her jamming the potato through my wrist. I'm going to give you a new straw. There you go. You're going to plug it in your left hand, and so I'm going to hold it right here. I'll count down 3, 2, 1. You're going to give it a good jab and go right on through, all right? You want to take a practice swing first?
Yes.
Okay. Just give me a practice swing in the air. How you're going to do it. You're going to have to do it harder than that. All right. Here we go. Wish me luck. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Not bad. Look at that. Amber got it right on through. First try. Great job, Amber. So our potato goes right on through this other end of the straw here. And again, that's the power of air pressure. All we had to do was compress that air so it had no place to go. So just that little bit of air inside that straw is able to pierce a potato. Great job on that one, and I'm sure you can amaze all your family and friends with that. Okay, so now let's pull out these cool little marshmallows that we got here. And I'm going to give you one of these. And what we have here is something we call a fizz keeper. You can find this in your local grocery store, and usually it's for sodas. So every time you open a Coca-Cola or a Pepsi, you hear that little psst sound. That's carbon dioxide gas that's being released. This little valve will actually put that fizz back into your soda, but we're going to use it for a different reason here today. So if you could go ahead and take your cap off and then put your fizz keeper on. Don't do anything with it. So this is made with a valve that allows air to go in but doesn't let it come out. So I've got a tape marked here so that you could see this. This is the level of our marshmallows. And we're just going to start applying pressure. And as we're doing this, make sure you're thinking about why you're on the show today. Was your grandpa making up that whole thing about being in pain from the air, or can this air pressure really cause some pain? All right? So let's just start pumping and see what happens. Just pump as many times as you can. If you're doing this at home, you don't want to do it more than about 40 pumps. And you can see what's happening right away, and hold it up to the camera. You can see as that air pressure is being applied, those mushrooms are getting tinier and tinier, and that's because the marshmallow is actually made of mostly air. Look at that. And now, Amber, I want you to listen to what happens. Remember, I told you it's a fizz keeper, and watch what happens to those marshmallows. So all that air just popped right back out, and our marshmallows expand back. So that's some pretty powerful air pressure right there from our fizz keeper. Not bad. You can do that at home. Just buy your fizz keeper and some marshmallows. Okay, Amber, so what we're going to do next is one of those demonstrations that you should not do by yourself, all right, because this includes using a burner, and I don't want you to get hurt. Now, normally for this, we would want to wear a pair of gloves, but just because we're going to be using tongs, grip is more important than us actually getting burned here, because we're going to be extra safe and we're not going to get burned. So all I'm going to do right now is I've got some soda cans, and I've got a little bit of water in there, and I'm heating them up. Okay, so this is actually going to be your grandfather. Your grandfather is going to be one of these soda cans. So you've got your grandfather here. He's inside on a nice cold day. He's got the heat going. His body temperature is about 80 degrees. He's feeling nice and warm. Okay, so then it's time for him to go outside to the cold. And I want you to watch what happens when your grandfather goes outside. All right, let's get this real close to here. I see I got a couple of them burning real heavy. I'm going to take this right here. So here we go. Just picture your grandfather here, and let's see what happens when he goes outside. And look at that. We crushed the can just now. You see how that worked? Unbelievable how powerful that air pressure was, and all that caused that air pressure was a change in temperature, so you're going from hot to cold, and then the air pressure from the outside coming at about 15 pounds per square inch, and that crushes the can. So Amber, what I'm going to have you attempt to do is I'm actually going to crush one more, and I'm going to remove this one just for a second to get it out of the way. And I'm going to have you attempt, let's start with the blue Pepsi can. See if you could crush that one, okay? So Amber's going to attempt to crush her grandfather. Let's see what happens here. Give it a good shot, and I'm going to step back. Bam! Oh, great one. Look at that. Grab that here. Now, Amber, let me ask you this. When your grandfather goes outside from the hot to the cold, do you think that has an effect on his body at all?
Yes.
Look at what that air pressure just did. Crush the can. And now we're going to do one more. I'm going to have you attempt to do this with your supersized grandfather. So this one you want to grab in the middle, and be careful because I don't want you getting burned here. All right? So grab that one right in the center and move it over. Make sure you got a good grip on it first, and go. So we did get a little crush there. So we got a little crush on that one. So we can see by doing our soda can crusher here, when we're turning something from hot to cold, that temperature change along with our air pressure, that's going to crush a can, and it's going to also crush some bones and muscles inside your grandfather. Okay, Amber, what's better than a balloon in a bottle is a water balloon in a bottle. So let me show you how this is done here. I'm going to give you this little piece of duct tape, and I am going to blow the balloon up, and when I get it as large as it can go, you're going to cover up those holes so that it stays inflated, okay? So here we go. I'm going to blow up, and then you'll put the duct tape right on the holes. Okay, got it blown up. Now we're going to pour our water into the balloon. That's pretty good. Now the hard part, not letting it fall in and tying this. Ugh, that didn't work out too well. So we're going to have a little balloon in a bottle here. And so we got this cool little balloon in a bottle. And then what you do is you're going to take this home and you're going to challenge your friends to figure out how you got that water balloon in that bottle. So I got one little cool thing that I want you to try at home later on with somebody in your family or one of your friends. Okay, we're going to do the same thing again. I'll give you this piece of duct tape, and you're going to cover that hole up. So I got holes right there, all right? So I'm going to blow this one up, and then you'll cover it up. Perfect. All right, now, so here's what you do. You bring your friend over, and you've just shown them how to do that water balloon in a bottle. You fill this up nice and high. That way you got plenty of water in there. And then, once you've got it up to the top, you tell your friends, come on in here. I want you to take a good look at what's inside this bottle. So then they look down in here, take a good look. You remove the duct tape, and water goes everywhere. And that's all because that air pressure comes right through those holes, shoots that air, hits the balloon, and the water inside the balloon shoots up and get your friend all wet and Amber all wet just like she just did. So that was an incredible time we had here today, Amber. We got a little bit of wet, but I think we had a lot of fun, and we learned a lot about air pressure. And now, the next time you're walking with your grandfather, and he complains that his body's aching from the air pressure, well, I think you know now that he's telling the truth, right? Yeah. Okay, Amber, it was a pleasure meeting you. Thanks for coming on the show, and good luck with all your science successes. If you would like to learn a little bit more about the science behind today's show, well, your local media center is the place to go. The first book I'd like to showcase today is called Who Was Amelia Earhart? And the second book is called Air in Flight. I especially love the Amelia Earhart story. This is a fantastic read about one of America's aviation pioneers. She was the first female pilot to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean, and she also helped form the 99s. This is an organization for female pilots. Unfortunately, on June 2nd, 1937, Amelia was on a daring around-the-world flight over the Pacific Ocean when her plane mysteriously disappeared. She was never heard from again. You can find out more about this American hero by reading her biography. So, who was Amelia Earhart? Air in Flight. 2 books I highly recommend. Get to your media center now before it's too late. It has been another fantastic show. I'd like to thank Amber for coming by today. She did a wonderful job helping us out with some of our air demonstrations. And now, Amber, the next time you're outside with your grandfather and he begins to complain about his muscles and joints aching, you know he's not making this up. Cold winter conditions can be very painful, especially if you're older and you have arthritis. We proved that today by showing how powerful that air is in our atmosphere. So for JT, I'm Mr. Cruz. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Cruisin' with Science.